Welcome back to V8 Creative and part 21 of the Ultima RS build, and on this episode I'm going to share with you my choice of colour and power plant for the beast. Welcome back to the Dean Den, and for a very, very special episode. There's going to be no spannering this week. I'm sorry for those of you that like nuts and bolts, but I've run out of parts to bolt onto my beautiful RS. It just sits there under a cover, sitting on those Michelin tyres, waiting to be picked up by a covered trailer, to go back to the factory, to have its beautiful suit perfectly fitted. So this episode, I'm going to be focusing on the votes that you out there have put forward to what colour you think I'm going to choose for the RS, and also what monstrous power plant I'm going to put in her. And then what I'm going to do is reveal my actual choice and my logic, and give a shout out to 3 of you, yes, 3 of you that got the answer right. So what should we look at first? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to look at colour voting. Now, when you order an Ultima RS kit, as part of the process you select what colour you would like the RS body panels finished in, because unlike many vehicles that are spray finished, what the Ultima comes with is gel coat finish. And there are a lot of advantages to having a gel coat finish on a high performance sports car. Firstly, it is very resistant to scratches and also dings with little stones, and it's quite a thick surface, so you can cut it back if you get any deep scratches. Also, the quality of Ultima's gel coat has always been at the top of the industry. Walking up to an Ultima of any breed, you will be hard pushed to tell if it is a paint or a gel coat finish. And the availability of colours is very wide. There are 10 different colours. There's 2 greens, there's 2 blues, there's orange, there's red, there's white, there's mauve, there's purple, there's yellow. I think I've named them all. So what I'm going to do now is thank you for everyone for voting, and I'm going to go down the top 3 colours. And to start with, in 3rd place, we have orange. Now, I was tempted by orange when I first saw the RS. I looked on the website and used their configurator. It looked really mean. A lot of builders do agree with you, because orange is one of the most popular colours coming out of the Ultima factory at the moment. In 2nd place, we have the classic white. Very clinical, works superbly against the high gloss carbon fibre. When I saw the demonstrator finished in this livery, it was just absolutely stunning, and I mean stunning. So a shout out to all you here that thought white was the answer, but the most popular choice was red. When I built the GTR, I remember talking to Ted, and he said red is the colour for this car. And I must say, when I built the GTR, I had no regrets. That footage that I played in the early episodes of Richard getting out from a hotel and stepping into a left-hand drive red RS, it's just stunning footage. But apart from those 3 colours, we had a smattering over the other colours. So for the blues, the green, the black, and out of those, the black and the British Racing Green were probably the 2 most popular. So what colour did I choose? White. Yep. Some of you may think that's a bit conservative, but again, seeing that demonstrated with the carbon fibre, it just worked perfectly. Now, a shout out to those of you listed there who got it right, and some of you sort of twigged when I chose that colour of wheel that I can't remember at the moment off the top of my head, but that's what the demonstrator was equipped with, and it just works perfectly. So well done, you lot, and I think it's about time we moved on to engine voting. Now, engine voting was more contentious, I must say. There was a lot of votes for a lot of the crate engines Ultima provide, but also a lot of really weird stuff, but I'll cover that in a minute. So in the same format, third place, we have the good old LS3. 6.2 litres, all aluminium, wet sump, a stonker of a power plant. And a shout out to those of you there that thought that was the type of V8 I want nestling just behind my skull. In second place, the LT5. Wow, this used to be the daddy of the range that Ultima recommended for fitment to their car, but unfortunately, as a lot of you know, the LT5 has been discontinued. However, that didn't stop you voting for that power plant, and yep, I could well have got one of those last engines that are out there, because they are out there, but they're like hen's teeth. And finally, in first place, from all you out there, you thought I was going for the LT4. 6.2 litres, all aluminium, dry sump, forced induction. What more could you want? And there was a clue in one of my videos, I think it was episode 8, where I installed the luggage bins. And some of you saw I added extra holes for intercooler pipes. Now, why would I want that? I'd only want it if I was going for a supercharger. And the LT4 is currently the only supercharged engine on offer from Ultima. So it makes complete sense. Interesting. And as with the colours, we have some also rounds here. The LSA, LT1 and LS7. And you can see the LS7 was quite a popular vote. Good large capacity 7 litre V8. Can't go wrong with that. And then of course, even though Ultima focuses on Chevrolet crate engines, we had some weird votes coming in. So the Lambo V10, yep, we all know someone is building one of those cars with that engine in. Then Coyote, 4-rotor Mazda, LS8, boosted inline 4, right, okay. Tesla, I'm not driving a milk float, I promise you. LS8 and the LT3. But again, and I'll touch on this in the Q&A later, fitting any one of those engines will just cause you grief, and the factory won't be able to support you. So, before I reveal that V8, let's just have a look what options there were when I started building this car. So we had the LT1, LT4, LT5, LS3, LS7 and LSA. So there were 6 choices of engine, but things have changed so much now. As I said, the LT5, no more, cease production. LS7, another one that's gone down the drain, which is so sad, because that's a beautiful, beautiful engine. And again, the LSA. Maybe this is writing on the wall for Chevrolet, trying to cut down the number of engines it's trying to support. So what that leaves is the LT4, the LS3 and the LT1. Now, I thought I'd go through a bit of logic here to sort of explain why I chose one of those 3 engines. So let's first look at the LT4. As I said, supercharged 6.2 litre V8, 650 brake horsepower and the same amount of torque. Now the thing is with that engine, it's expensive. And I don't mean just expensive as a power plant, but the installation is expensive compared to, say, the LS3, which I'll explain in a moment. Now, even though I'm saying expensive, you can compare the performance that engine gives in an RS against any other hypercar on the planet, and this car is a bargain, and I mean a bargain. Next, we have the LT1, 460 horsepower, quite a drop there, almost 200 horsepower, and similar torque, but that's expensive as well. It's not far off the LT4 actually, and as I said, I'll explain in a moment. So why would you do that? And then the good old LS3, stock motor, 430 brake horsepower, 425 foot-pounds of torque, nice bit of kit that, and very, very affordable compared to the other 2. The LT1 doesn't even come into the competition, and that's because if you're going to spend that much money, you might as well push a little bit further and get the LT4. Let's compare the LT4 and LS3. Well, the engine itself is 2.5 times more expensive. Of course, you need all the intercooler, the pipes, all the plumbing, and there's other things like relocating the throttle body. There is an uprated fueling kit because you have high-tech fuel pumps that are actually nestled in the fuel tanks themselves, so they're specific fuel tanks. Plus a whole array of other things like the dry sump kit. And that's why it adds so much cost to the build. So what have I gone for? I've gone for the LS3. Now that may surprise a lot of you out there. You may be going, what are you doing? A car like this, why are you putting the least powerful V8 in it? That's madness. Well, there's a reason behind my madness, so just hang on in there. If you go on Chevrolet's website, and you can see a lot of these engines are being discontinued, this is what they say about the LS3. The LS3 is poised to go down in history as one of Chevrolet's best and most versatile engines. And I would echo that 100%. I've been fortunate enough to drive a lot of hand-built lightweight cars with this power plant. In standard spec, in tuned spec, power delivery is seamless. The torque curve is just delightful, and these things, you can tune them so much. And that bottom end in that engine, that'll take 600 horsepower. If you read the forums, that's quite happy. And if you upgrade some stuff, you can get this to 1,000 horsepower without really breaking out in too much of a sweat. So a shout out to all those guys and girls there. And I think the thing is, if you remember who chose white in the LS3? Another drum roll. And the three people that have got this right are Coco, Jeff, and Banana Noodles. So well done, you three out there. Well done for guessing, because this is my logic behind both of this colour and also the engine. And my logic, even though it's based on what I've shared with you already, part of it is about this: post-build mods. Now I hear you crying out, you're building a pure Ultima. What do you mean mods? Well, I am building a pure Ultima. I'm going to get that pure Ultima on the road with a stock LS3. I'm going to bed the car in, get rid of any setup I've got to do. If there's any niggles, squeaks here or there, if I've got to sort anything, I will, and get it driving absolutely spot on. And then what I'm going to do, and this will explain to you why I've put a couple of extra holes in that passenger compartment, I'm going to supercharge it. Oh yes, this is not really driven by a need for speed, need for more power. Yeah, it'll add, I don't know, a couple of 100 horsepower, 150, something like that, but that's not really the driving force here. That car with 430 horsepower, honestly, will just rip your face off. So this will start removing internal organs. The reason I want to do this is because of this. Yep, the sound of a twin screw supercharger winding up to 7,000 RPM is just, well, it is theatre. It is drama. It is something an electric car will never, ever deliver. So imagine it. In the Ultima cockpit, you have the windscreen wrapped around you. You have the 6-point harness welding you to those amazing bucket seats. And only inches behind your head, you have that 6.2 litre LS3 rumbling away at idle. You click it into first, you pull away from the lights, and that supercharger starts whining, it starts spinning up, and the noise in the cabin, it is just amazing. And I tell you what, that's what I'm aiming for. It is theatre, it's drama, it's looking over to the person next to me and seeing fear in their eyes. Next, another reason I chose white. Now, apart from my dream being an RS, apart from the dream being that supercharger just behind my head screaming away, the other dream is to have a roadworthy liveried Group C racer. And yes, I know this is a Porsche, but once the cars settle in, or once I fit that supercharger, I'm going to decal her up. Make her look like she's just turned off the Mulsanne straight. And what's so nice about this approach is if you get fed up with it, you can just peel them off. So anyway, there we go. Shout out to you three that got everything right. I would give you a prize, but I haven't really thought of a prize. But anyway, well done. And I think now it's time to move on to Q&A. I've been receiving a lot of questions through YouTube and I've been answering them, but a few of them are worthy sort of shouting out over the channel because there's a common theme about a lot of these questions. And the first question is, where can I buy a fully built Ultima RS? Now, to me, buying a fully built car is like insane because to me, building a car is actually just as enjoyable as piloting. But obviously some of you haven't got the time or even the inclination to do the spannering part, and that's fine. However, getting a fully built RS is challenging. You can approach the factory and the factory will give you a quote and they will build you a car, but I will warn you, the waiting list is very long. Or what you could do is you could approach a specialist that makes hand-built cars and ask them to order the components to build you a car. But again, there is a long wait. Or you could purchase a fully built car, a second-hand car on the market. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think any RSs have come up for sale yet. Another question I get asked a lot is, what tools do I require to build an Ultima RS? Now, before filming this, I actually sat down and actually tried to make a list of everything I've used so far, and I think I've captured most things. So excuse me if I look down here because I've got the list on my laptop by my feet. So here we go. Bench and engineer's vise. You need a good sturdy bench and a good solid vise. You need a socket set. Metric, you may need some imperial for when it comes to the engine, but probably metric will suffice. Next, we have an imperial and metric spanner set. Next, screwdriver set, flat, and also crossheads, Phillips, whatever you want to call them. An Allen key set, mallet and hammer. Obviously the mallet, which is for shaping the aluminium, and the hammer for using for center pop to actually ensure that you drill the holes accurately. File set, half round, rat tail, and flat, a selection. These aren't really needed significantly, but it's always worth having a set. Rulers, a scriber, and a center punch, essential. Also a set square. You don't need a set square really, but I find it very good for just lining things up. A quality drill bit set. Don't buy cheap drill bits made of cheese. I promise you, it will be a bad investment. Get a quality set up to 8-10 millimeter. You don't need to go any higher, and buy multiples of the smaller ones because you will snap a few, I promise you. Next, a deburring tool for the drill and also a hand deburring tool for holes. Hole punches, these are not necessary, but they are nice punching those holes in those side containers when you're passing through the hoses. Torque wrench and also a set of side cutters and some pliers. And that's really it for hand tools. Now, electric tools, battery operated tools, you obviously need a drill. An angle grinder is useful for one or two jobs, but you don't really need it. A must, I would say, would be a pot riveter. And then bench tools, larger tools, I would say a pillar drill is useful, but not essential. Also, an actually bench mounted grinder, I would say that's really essential. It's always useful to have one. And finally, a bout sender, but again, it is a nice to have. It was just very, very useful when I was actually sanding down the air vents, as you can probably remember in episode 6 or 7. I can't remember myself. And that's it. Now, a lot of people have said, can we fit different engines to the Ultima RS? Now, I would say this is probably the most common question. Now, there is a reason Ultima say we only support Chevrolet crate engines. And it's a very good reason, because the car has been developed to accept that power plant. And the thing is, even accepting different Chevrolet power plants actually has an impact on fueling, wiring, induction, mating to the transaxle, and that's just a start. And that can be reflected in the cost of installing the LT4 compared to the LS3. So that's just an example. So if someone gets a V10 Lamborghini engine, which there's a call out there to another channel who's doing an amazing job, big respect, that is a huge amount of work and significant expense. Now, if you're going to go down that route, I would say be very careful, because unless you are very skilled, you've got very deep pockets, it would be very, very easy to fail. And what I will always say about building an RS, go the traditional route, enjoy the build, know what you're going to get in the end will work straight out of the box. Do Ultima offer rose jointed suspension? Now, this question came from when I did the episode about putting in the bushes, and with some suspension systems, if you want them completely adjustable, and I mean completely adjustable, those bushes can be replaced by a different end, like a threaded end to all the wishbones, with basically a rose joint, which means the suspension is completely adjustable on all corners. And yes, Ultima do this, and yes, some people go for that option, but usually people that are really seriously wanting to track the beast, because what it will also do is it will make the ride a bit harsher as well. And to be honest with you, taking this car to the limit on open roads, normal driving, you're not going to get there. Or if you are, you're not going to live very long, I promise you. Okay, next. Question 5. I'm very envious of your garage. You know, I'm pretty proud of it as well, the Dean Den. Do I need a garage like that to build an RS, because all I have is a double garage? This was a gentleman on YouTube asked me this, and my response is, you don't need a garage like this, it's just me. I just love this place, and it's my den. So I don't have a study, I don't have a library. This is where I go to chill, and I happen to build my car. So a double garage is more than enough space to build a car. All I'd say is make sure it's watertight, it's got good lighting, and it's got an electricity supply and a good bench. And if you take my advice on tools, you're there. I live in Australia. Can I put the RS on the road? And the answer is yes, you can. And the reason I know that is there are channels out there where people are building RSs in Australia, and I know I get a lot of viewers on this channel from Australia from the stats. Now, what Ultima say is, if you're an international customer and you're not sure, or you're worried if you can get the car road legal or not, please contact them, because they've sold Ultimas to over 50 countries worldwide. And in every country, there will be a slightly different process of how to get the vehicle roadworthy. In the UK, we have a test, what's called IVA, which is a 4-hour test where the vehicle is tested for compliance to European standards and safety. And it is quite a significant test, but to be honest with you, the RS just cruises through if it is built to normal spec. And again, that is another reason why you want to build the car to Ultima's recommendations, because you know you can get it on the road because it's going to pass all those requirements. How will your RS be registered in the UK? Well, the reason this person is raising this is if you build one of these hand-built cars in the United Kingdom, the registration it is given depends on what sort of parts you've used to build that car. So if I build the RS from multiple second-hand components from multiple vehicles, the car would go on what's known as a Q plate. And what that really means is this vehicle is of unknown origin. And it is, because bits are from everywhere. However, I'm building this RS with 100% brand new components. And because I'm doing that, I can put a brand new registration mark on this car. So it will go through IVA, that 4-hour test. It will be inspected and registered by our vehicle licensing authority, and then it will get a brand new registration. So in the eyes of the law, this will look like any other brand new vehicle rolling off the production line. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. You make building this Ultima RS look so easy on the channel. Do you do lots of takes, then edit and edit to make it look easy? Well, in answer to that question, no, I don't. I would say it takes me longer to edit this content than it does build the car. And I really mean that. Okay, some of the riveting, the initial riveting, does take a lot of effort and time, but really when I'm bolting in fuel tanks, for example, and when I'm bolting on wheels and brakes, they tend to take far less time than me getting the lighting right, getting the sound right, etc., etc. And a lot of these things, I've only got one chance to do one take, because I don't want to put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. So what you see is what you get. And what I would say is, if you're tempted, please call the factory, put your order in, and follow me on this amazing journey. And well, that's the last question. So thank you for tuning in, and apologies there's been no spannering, but the next episode, V8 Creative is going on holiday. I'm very fortunate because I'm going to go to the States for a couple of weeks, well actually 10 days, and it's the first holiday I've had in 4 years with all this COVID stuff, and it's just been a pain. And what I'm doing is I'm hooking up with 2 Ultima owners. So the plan is the next episode will be some driving footage. We'll be meeting someone with an Ultima Evo. I'll be meeting someone with an Ultima RS, where I want to ask them what it's like to drive these things on the road, to give you a little bit of a flavour what it's like. So until next time, keep tuned, keep spannering, and if you've got any questions, just fire them over in the comments. Until then, take care. Until next time.